Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday afternoon, and here are today's notices. And today's notices, I'm coming to stand by my whiteboard because today's notices are all about these things. Targets. Because we have changed the way we track your progress and measure how well you've done in lessons. For those of you who were here last year in Key Stage 3 in Year 7, 8 and 9, you'll remember all these 5As, 5Bs, 5Cs and targets that required you to go from a 5C to a 5A and yada yada yada. And lots of us had quite a lot of difficulty understanding it. So, for this new school year, as promised, we've totally revamped it. And we've revamped it in line with the new GCSEs. Now, Year 11, none of this applies to you. So Year 11, please disregard this. I think you basically know what your targets are and what your current projections are and what your current attainment is. That's all pretty clear. But for everybody else, this is how it's now going to work. At GCSE, you used to have these grades: A star, A, B, C. And what we do is we'd set you a target for each subject based on which one of those we thought you'd get, and we'd have a minimum target of a C, so nobody's allowed to be targeted less than a C. And we set those targets, well, we'd set them quite early on in school, but you wouldn't know about them until you got into Year 10. Now, GCSE has changed, and so have the way we set targets throughout the school. So instead of A star, A, B, C for GCSE, you now have 9, which is better than A star, 8, which is roughly equivalent to most of A star and the top end of A 7, which is the rest of A, roughly, a 6, which is most of B, a 5, which is the bottom end of B and the top end of C, and then a 4, which is the lower end of C. Makes sense, roughly? So these are the new GCSE grades. So what we've now done for all of you in every year group is we've looked at how well you did last year or in your last school. We've looked at your CAT test, that's your cognitive ability test. We've looked at a huge range of data and information about you, and we've said, okay, what's the most challenging target we should set for each subject? So we've said, okay, this person, if they do really well, they're going to get a 6 in English, and they're going to get a 5 in maths at GCSE when they get there. So we've set you a target GCSE for each of those subjects. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We haven't set many 9s yet, so we're going to do those as we go along. So primarily 4, 5, 6, 7s and 8s. And so you now, already, you won't have seen these, have a target for each subject. That is a 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8. And that is what we want you to aim to achieve at GCSE. But wait, if you're in Year 7, GCSE is 5 years away. What are we going to do in the meantime? Well, I want you to imagine that you are in Year 7 and your target for English is a 6. And your target for maths is a 5, because, like me, you're better in English than you are at maths. Okay, these are your targets. Well, what's now going to happen is every half term, your teachers are going to give you a grade for maths or English. So if your GCSE target is English, in English is a 6, and you are in Year 7, and your teacher thinks that you are on target to achieve that 6, they're going to call it a 6. Get it? That means you're on target to achieve a 6 at GCSE. If they think you're doing better than that, and you might even achieve something more than a 6 based on what you've done that term, they're going to call it, they might call it a 7. Likewise, with this 5, if you get a 5 there, that means you are on target in maths for your 5. Whereas if you had a 5 here in English, when your target's 6, that 5 would mean you're below target. Get it? It should be quite clear. So you're going to get a grade that compares to your target. That's number 1. The other thing you'll have with it, though, is you'll have a plus or minus. So if your target in English is a 6, you might get a 6 minus. Or you might just get a plain 6, you might get a 6 plus. Obviously showing where within that grade boundary you fall. You're going to get that for each subject, and you're going to get them pretty much every half term. So, soon, your tutors will start a conversation with you about what your targets are for each subject, what you need to be doing in each subject. Now, the other thing here, right, is if you're sat there thinking, well, I've got a target of 6 and 5, but really I'd like to get 7 for both of those, well, I'm not immediately just going to change those targets to 7. Because if you're targeting 6 and 5 according to everything that you've learned in your entire life so far, you can't immediately jump to 7. But if you keep on getting 6s in English, and then you start getting a 6+, and then you actually start getting 7s, and of course I'll change your target to 7. Targets can go up, but they never go down. But the way they go up is by you exceeding that target time and time and time again, working hard every day, pushing those targets up. So, in lessons, teachers are going to start saying to you, if you're aiming for a 5, you should be doing this. If you're aiming for a 6, you should be doing that. You could be saying to teachers, what's my target in English? But be careful, because teachers aren't going to tell you your target in front of the rest of the class. They're not going to read out a big list, because that wouldn't be fair, because different people have different targets. But in the very near future, you will also be having a conversation with your form tutor about what your target grades are. And shortly after half term, you will get your first report of the year that will tell you all of your target grades and also what you achieved in that first half term's assessment. So slightly different notices today to outline that to you guys. I'm going to keep on talking about this, but it's a nice starting point for today. That's it from me. Have a lovely afternoon. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye.